Yo, what's up, friends? How you doing wherever you are at? So good to be here today. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tony Shira Show, and this is that day that we decided we're gonna have a conversation. I don't know where you grew up or places you visited, and what are the things that you got to experience as you went about your business. But one of the things that informs our being is, where we are born, the characters, the behavior, the lifestyles that we adopt of our parents and, those that are older than us, and of course, our neighbors. These things grow in ourselves and we become them, and they become part of us. And, it is what you would like call second nature to us. With it comes a lot of challenges. For instance, if you move from one place to another, you are bound to experience, different ways in which people do their things. One of those is what we are basically talking about today. But before we even get into it, I'd like to ask you, that question that is crawling down here, what is the most mind-blowing element of culture or experience of culture you've ever witnessed? Just drop your comment. And if you're joining this channel for the first time, I would like to request you to remember to subscribe. It's 2023 and we are going to do much, much more together. And so kindly, I'll seek your support. Subscribe and let's have these conversations. For today, we're discussing culture shock. And so, what is culture shock? That feeling of disorientation that you experience when you are subjected to an unfamiliar way of life, right? That feeling when you become aware of the differences between what you know and what you're seeing or what you're experiencing at that time. It could be in values, the customs, or the way they do their stuff, in that new place that you are in. But then to talk about culture shock, we must also look at, therefore, what is culture itself? We can say that culture is all the ways of life of a people that have been inherited, including their food, including their arts, including their beliefs, their institutions, and all of that. Feel free to jump in and drop your comments. There's no culture that is more superior. There's no culture that is more decent, and no culture that is more smarter than another. Until we experience what other people are doing, we are not able to appreciate, how it is that they do their thing. And so therefore we cannot judge. All right. So having said that, there are different ways in which a culture of a people is experienced. And so we're talking about language, we're talking about food, we're talking about dressing, we're talking about their tools, the dances, the shelters. We're talking about dressing. Are there a set of rules that, affect children, are made for young adults, for women? All these different set of unwritten law that governs that group of people. Can you relate with some of those things that we can say are, elements of culture through which a people demonstrate their ways of life? I want to drop a video here. This is something that I picked up in the week, and I mean, it's the kind of thing that you see and your mind just goes blank for a moment. But then when you think about it, it's just one of those things. Probably some of you have seen it. Let me just do it again.
Actually, you got caught up, but you don't do anything on that. The direct in the Kunakoto, the direct in the China. Oh, yeah, no more. During the Kunakoto. Do you?
Right. I know. I know. I know. I know. I know. Some of you have written to me and have asked so many questions. Some of you have are rushed to judge and say this is so disgusting. This is so crazy. This is so out of this world. But guess what? To a local that has lived in that community, by the way, I'm well informed that this is from South Sudan. It's a community called the Mundari tribe. And they do this as a way to stimulate the cow to release the milk because maybe the calf was born and the mother died. And so the calf needs milk. So they stimulate the cow so that it can release milk so that it can feed a calf whose mother died. All right. So that's quite interesting, right? But guess what? That is just one of the things that we see. There's a lot of other things, and I want to take you through a couple of other videos. Just as a disclaimer, this is content that is picked from all over. I just picked up a few that I thought maybe we should share. Let's get some feelings about it.
Camel's milk, I've tried it once in Uzbekistan. Oh, so sour.
Uzbekistan, where this gentleman had camel milk for the first time. The people that live there that use this as their stable food or, as their regular kind of food would not have that kind of a reaction. Let's see another video and then let's get more feelings about some of these things. Before we even go into this video, I must confess right here that this was the first time that I actually heard of the name of this country. It will blow your mind to know the kind of stuff that goes on in this country. Just take a look.
There are so many ways to spend tens of billions of dollars, and Turkmenistan spends it in glorifying their capital of Ashgabat. The skyline is covered in thousands of giant white marble buildings and monuments.
All construction work was made out of a ruling by the ruler of that country. And he decided that all the buildings are going to be made white. And then even the cars that drive in the streets are supposed to be white. So up to now, just about, more than 80% of the cars in the streets are white. Black is totally not allowed in that country. Let's go to UK. Let's see what the Brits have to say.
We're very indirect. Instead of saying, I don't like it, we would say, well, I don't hate it. Tea is by far the most popular drink drunk by Brits. Maybe you knew this, but apparently we drink 165 million cups of tea every single day. Queues are incredibly important to us. If you push into a queue, if you queue jump, you will be universally hated in Britain. When you greet a friend in the UK, you don't normally shake their hand. Normally, you give them one kiss on the cheek. If you've recently been in the rest of Europe, then you might give 2 kisses by mistake and say, oh, sorry, just got back from France, just got back from Spain.
I can't even start to think about it. I'm a tea guy. I like to take tea every time, like, as we speak to you right now, I have my tea going on, but I never thought so many people drink that much tea out there. In America, or do we go to China? Let's do China first. Yeah, you heard it. And they can take a nap anywhere. I'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll see 2 more videos, and then we go to actually dealing with culture shock. So welcome back. In case you're joining again, this is the Tony Shira Show, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Once again, we are discussing a very, very interesting topic that I found worth sharing with us. It's about culture shock. I did say that, there's no culture that is more superior or more smarter or, more decent than another. I wanted to share some more videos about different places and what people do. And I have one about America. It's among the first things that you notice when you get here. And I think everybody has gone through it that has been here. Take a look.
Everything is so big here. The bag of chips.
Watermelons.
Watermelon is so huge. Bell pepper is so huge. Everything is huge. Vegetable, fruits. When we go to Dunkin' Donut, and I believe that time Jimmy friend ordered like regular size of the pumpkin spice.
A pumpkin spice latte. A medium one of those?
And it turns out to be this huge. I was like, are you sure that is the regular size? Every time we go to the restaurant to have a meal, I never be able to finish my meal at all. Like some of Jimmy's friends even ordered 24 wings. I can't believe that like people create that menu.
Absolutely right. Everything is big. And I mean, people have talked about big cars. I think Americans are huge in a lot of ways, big ego, big cars, big spaces. They're into big stuff. Rokonga, I see you online. 24 wings on the same plate. Those are 12 chicken, my friend. One more from Africa. This I must give you some warning because some people do not probably have the strength to handle some of these things. But hey, we're discussing culture shock, right? People put a premium in the person that you want to become your mate. And that's why the issue of bride price in Africa, for example, is a huge one. When I remember other communities like some of those pastoralist communities that are engaged in cattle rustling, it's all in the name of getting enough cattle, which is the wealth that you can have enough to go and pay a bride price, so that you can get a wife. Now, from the video that we just saw, men drink blood just before they go to a fight, which is physical, like using canes, so that whoever wins gets to choose any girl from that community to be his wife. In other words, you fight your way to getting a wife. And this is not ancient history. This is happening right now. It's happening in that community. That's their way of life. That's what they do. Let's move on to, how do you experience culture shock? How do you know it's going on? How do you know that this is what is happening right now? And the people that experience culture shock are travelers. Like you travel from one place to another. Maybe people have visited you or visited your village or your community, and they have a way that they do their stuff. It is all new to you. So you're a host, but the people that have come have a way of, that there is a way that they do certain things that is new to you. What do you start to notice when you're getting into this culture shock? One of the things that you start to experience is homesickness. You start to feel the desire to be back home. You're anxious. You're not sure what is happening. You feel uncertain about so much, And the other thing is also the feeling of loneliness. The other thing that culture shock starts to manifest in is through boredom. The other way is also when you start to feel helpless, when you start to feel depressed, difficulties in interacting. You probably start to feel like you're not sure how to approach the person that is next to you, or the person that you are with in class, or you're with at work, or you're with in that area. You feel demotivated. When you start to feel not excited to get out there and do your stuff, it is a manifestation of culture shock. And then sometimes you get frustrated. In some cases, there are people that, when all these things combine, they become hostile to other people, the host community, or other people around them. So how do you cope with culture shock? And the first thing that you need to do is to actually prepare to experience it. When you're traveling, whether you're going as a tourist, or you're going as a student, or you're going to work, prepare your mind mentally to experience some culture shock. And then when you start to feel the things that I've just talked about, when you start to feel anxious, when you start to feel depressed, when you start to feel homesick and all of that, then this is culture shock. The next thing that you need to be thinking about is to learn the rules, right? Learn the rules of that culture, the rules of that community, the rules of the people where you visited. When you learn the rules, for example, if they wake up in the morning and start to pray, then you learn that is their way of doing things. You don't get shocked. The other thing that you can do is to find something that you can be involved in. Find something that you can get involved in, like gym, like some social activity that happens in that area, because then that predisposes you to first, a distraction, and number two, integration. Then the other thing is to learn the language and the basic routines. Sometimes, the language takes a long time for someone to learn, but you may learn a few things, even just greeting. Then the next thing is to cultivate friendship and relationships. Among the people that you start to interact with, those are your first agents that will make you stay comfortable. You're going to be there for a few days, weeks, months, or years. If you get out there and you start to interact with people, build friendships and relationships, then you become integrated in that community more easy. Keep contact with your home culture. How do you keep contact with your home culture? You can call people at home, you can chat them, you can video chat them, you can text them. Engage. You can listen to some music from home, or watch videos of people from home, dances and that kind of stuff. That helps a lot. Avoid forcing your home culture to the new community that you are in, because remember, you're the one that's joined this community, right? And so you're the drop in the ocean, all right? And it's very difficult for you to be influential in that manner to a system that has been passed on to that to that community for generations. So it is incumbent upon you to actually try and fit in. So where you don't quite feel like this is working, you should avoid trying to force it into that community, because it's bound to fail. Of course, keep an open mind as you move into into that new community. Keep an open mind. Avoid comparing yourself with be they visitors, be they the hosts, be they um, your colleagues. Okay, do not compare yourself with any of them. One, because you might all be visiting, but if you compare yourself with someone else, your coping mechanism is not the same as that of the other person. Don't compare yourself with the local community, because the pace at which they move is in their system. They are born, they've grown into it, and so they will be fine. All right. But you might not be fine because you may not cope at their pace. Seek out those that you can identify with. I'm talking about um, your age mates. I'm talking about people that you share common interests with. If you're a girl, you might want to jump into uh, spaces where other girls are, because you want to know, how do girls live. Remember, earlier on we talked about the rules of that society. They may not be written, but there are certain things that girls don't do here, or boys don't do here, or old men don't do here, that kind of thing. Seek out people that are of your gender, find out what happens in there, what rules exist there. People of your creed, you might want to find out, where do I worship? Where do people like me go to worship? Interests could be as wide as you can think, so you can find whichever one of all of those that you will fit in with. As much as you may not be able to do certain things, it is best if you embrace them. The conversation starter that we had for this topic drew so much interest from everybody, and some people saying so much about it that it's disgusting. Others totally bewildered, like I not even understanding what's going on. But if you're slow to judge and you embraced what this community does for the purpose for which they do, then you can understand that it's actually not a big deal. So overall, in everything that you do, if you're visiting a new place and there are things that you find that appear strange to you, the best thing to do is go armed with an open mind, learn as much as you can very fast, and then embrace what you find. As I come to the conclusion, one of the things I just keep reminding us, that there's no culture that is more superior, that's more decent or smarter than any other culture. So therefore, don't run to judge. The more you move around, the more you experience differences, the more you learn about them, the more you appreciate, the larger your scope, and the more we become one. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a pleasure sharing this conversation with you guys. This is a very huge topic, by the way. I am yet to break it down to like just dealing with food, and then dealing with dressing, then dealing with tools or artifacts, dealing with dances, dealing with music, dealing with, there's so much that we can talk about in culture and culture shock, because there are certain things that you just will never be prepared enough for. My name is Tony Shira, and this is the Tony Shira Show. It's been a pleasure hosting you today. Thank you, and have a good, beautiful February, my birth month. To all the February babies, happy birthday, and to you all, happy new month. Remember to subscribe, like, and share. Appreciate you all. Thank you so much.